What's good? This is Marcus Fingaz, Dafingaz, back with another video. In this video, we're going to talk all about the AVA Music Group Unity Modern Synth. Before we get into that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Sampleist, the YouTube video you're watching right now here on YouTube, so that you can be notified for future videos like this one. And although the video was provided by the great team over at AVA Music Group, they have not had a chance to provide any input on this video, and that will not affect our judgment on the plugin itself. So what is the Unity Modern Trailer Synth? It is an aggressive, modern sounding synth for creating those modern trailer sounds. It is designed for cinematic music. It uses a 3-sample based engine. It houses 350 unique samples, 300 presets, categorized in categories such as plucks, pulses, risers, textures, brass. You have saw waves, you have basses, leads, Brahms, triangle waves, subsines, sine waves, downers, effects, and square waves. It is available for the free Contact player. As long as you're using Contact 7 or higher, it is also available in the full version of Contact, but it does work in the free version of Contact and Contact player. At the time of this recording, you can pick up the Unity Modern Trailer Synth for $85 for the intro price of $85. It will normally be $115 when the sale ends. So let's dive in to the plugin right out the box. This is what it sounds like. So yeah, I was playing chords with that, but you can use it as lead sounds and things like that. That was the texture Atmos 2. That's just the first time I opened the plugin, and that's the sound that you get. On the main page here, you have 3 ADSR shapes. So these colors here, which are really fun, interesting laser lights, whatever you want to call them there, those are your ADSR shapes representing the sound sources. So the red one is the pre-designed synth sound, the foundational tones. The purple one helps you to enhance the sounds with textures, adding layers of depth and dimensions. The blue layer here, the blue one allows you to finalize the sound with analog wavetables, and the sliders along those represent the ADSR. So for example, the first slider here will be the attack, the second one here on each of those would be the decay, the third one on each of those would be the sustain, and the last one here would be the release. So if I brought up the attack on the A, and let's see if we can solo the A by itself. You hear it fading in there, and then let's bring it down. Comes in right at the beginning. So you have different elements there to adjust the ADSR visually on the graphic there in the plugin. Each sound source has a volume slider, which looks like this little curvy thing here. So the first, the red one would be there, the purple one would be here, and the blue one, let me turn this one on, would be here. So those are the volume sliders there. They also have a sample selection. So if I click the name here, I can dive in and choose different samples from the different categories here for each of the 3 sound sources. You also have an effects send for each sound layer. You do have to learn what the graphics mean, but you have distortion, you have reverb, you have delay, you have movement, and then you have a filter. So learning the graphic designs, you have that for each of those there. And you can adjust the different level that's being sent to each of those plugins by choosing the graphic here. So this would be delay, and I can turn that up there. This would be the movement, I can turn that up there. This would be the filter, so I can turn that down here. If you by drag up or down, you can adjust that for each of those. So you have those options per sound. You can bypass the sound sources by clicking the power for each one. So if I just want to hear what's happening in the middle layer here, this purple layer, I can bypass the other 2 and just play the sound. So that's what's happening there. If I just want to hear the third layer, and if I just want to hear the first layer here, turn that attack down again. So there you go with the different layers there. To the left of those sound sources, you have this identity button, which allows you to strike the balance or to create your balance between the 3 sound sources. So I can go all the way down here, all the way up here. So you have that balance there. That's the triangle that you can use to adjust the balance for the sounds that you have selected and chosen for the sound that you're using. Now this mod wheel is interesting. So I'm moving the mod wheel, as you can see down here on the left. The mod wheel can be assigned to different parameters depending on how you want to use it. Right now, let's go to, we're going to choose a different preset. Let's go up here. We'll get to these during the walkthrough. I'm going to go to Hybrid Pulse 17. How does that sound? That sounds incredible. So with the mod wheel, if you click this button here, You have different options. You have none. You have low pass, which is a filter. You have blend, which will allow you to blend the different sound sources with the mod wheel. If I select that, the bottom layer here, as you can see, the color changes as I move it up. So with blend, I have the red layer all the way down. And then as I move up, we have the purple layer coming in. And then the blue layer at the top. And then we have select. So with select, instead of it blending it, what it does is it will allow you to select just that one layer. So it's almost like a solo button. So now I'm going to have the red layer, just the purple layer, and just the blue layer. So I'll probably mostly be using the blend option. Let's do the low pass so you know how that sounds. And also with the low pass, it doesn't change color, but you will hear all those three sounds playing depending on how you have the identity here and how you have your settings over here. So I really like the functionality of the mod wheel. I think, just thinking out loud, I think I will most likely be using the blend option here, there. I think that's what I'm going to be using, but maybe I won't. We'll see. We'll find out. So that is the mod wheel. Let's go back to blend. And one thing that I'm figuring out as I'm doing this is it will save your settings. So if I go to low pass and let's say I bring the low pass all the way down and I go to another one, go to blend, I believe it's going to save my low pass settings. Yeah, so it's going to save my low pass settings. So you can have your also settings set here if you want to save your presets or have sets loaded up here so that I can just have, let's say I want the low pass to be halfway up, and then it'll stay there unless you change it somewhere else in the plugin, which we'll get to shortly. All right, so that is the mod wheel. Next, we're going to jump all the way over here, and I believe I mentioned you can select your different presets here. You can either click the name there, click there, or you can click the arrow there to choose different presets. That's that category that's selected. Let's get out of here. We'll go back to main window. All right, so we'll jump over to Attitude. On this plugin, Attitude adds like an extra layer of distortion / saturation. So I'm going to bring this down. And you hear how we bring it up. It's getting more aggressive, more gritty. I really like that. And we'll get to that page later. By clicking on this name, you can go to the page and adjust even more settings with the Attitude. Before we get there, let's go over to Shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Shape. And as you see, we have a whole nother world opening up to us to sound design the three different sources. So what we can do is we can choose between the different presets here for the different layers. So for layer A, the red layer here, or layer 1, whatever you want to call it, we'll just call it the red layer. I can choose, let's say I want it to be a lead now, and then I can choose between the different sounds in the lead category there. And then above that, let's close out of there. I can choose between a different filter. So let's say I want to choose low pass, high pass, or you can go to other band pass filters, things like that. You can adjust your frequencies here and your resonance for each high pass and low pass there. And then above that, we have the effects. So I can adjust what's happening with the distortion, the reverb, the delay, the movement, and the ADSR, all of which we saw on the main page. Also, you have a little bit more granular control here. You can also turn them off here. So let's say I want to turn off the distortion and the reverb and keep the delay and the movement and of course the ADSR. So what you can do is with the different effects, you also have another menu here for the effects. It's contextual depending on the effect you have chosen. So I can choose tube, saturation, tape, lo-fi, things like that. And I can adjust each of those here depending on how I want that set. For reverb, we have ethanol, reverb going on here. We have LAF, we have mid, sizzle, subtail, and then of course you have pre-delay, size, color, dry, wet. So you have different reverb settings there. With the delay, we have the delay time. So you have 1/4, you have triplets there, you have 30 seconds. I think it goes all the way up to 30 seconds, it looks like. You also have the ping pong option, and then you can adjust the feedback, the depth, the saturation, and the dry, wet for the delay. And then we have movement, which we can adjust the depth, the speed, the phase, the dry, wet, things like that for the movement. And then finally, we have the ADSR, where we can adjust the attack, the pad. We can have it have a long tail, some presets for ADSR here that already automatically set the ADSR. Or you can adjust them manually there with tune and glide options there. So shape, and of course you have that same option for all three layers. So the red layer, the purple layer, and the blue layer. So very, very powerful. And last but not least, on the final page here, we have Attitude, which allows you to dial in whatever level of attitude you want. Let's go to a different preset now. Let's go to Brahm 15, 14. Whoa, that might blow your ears away, but we're going to leave it. So if I go to Attitude here, I'm going to go to the Attitude page. By clicking the Attitude page, I can bring this down. Bring it up. You can adjust what's happening with the saturation, the character, the output, the release, the attack, the input. So let's bring the output down. So you can dial in the sound with the attitude there, and it actually helps to glue in the 3 layers also. It adds a little bit of saturation, compression, distortion, and you can use it to sort of glue those layers together, especially if they are not all Brahms and saws. If they're like a Brahm, a lead, and a pad, and you want to glue them all together, you can use that attitude for that. So there's a lot of functionality built in to the Unity Modern Trailer Synth from AVA Music Group. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to go through a couple of the presets, just going through the categories up here. Luckily, we do have some one-shots, and we have all these different categories. So I'm going to go through, play a few presets, and yeah. So I'm going to mute my microphone, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few presets, going through the categories up here. Here we go. So that is some of the presets that come with the Unity Modern Trailer Synth from AVA Music Group. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to a demo that I created featuring sounds from the Unity Modern Trailer Synth. Let's go. All right, so that was the demo for the AVA Music Group Unity Modern Trailer Synth. As you might have heard, it wasn't that long of a demo. I'm working on a project for a trailer library that is focused on the Act 1 of trailers, if you're familiar with the trailer music space, basically the intro of a trailer. So this is what this piece will be pitched to. So the music that I make for these demos, I actually am working on projects when I open up these plugins and libraries and things like that. So this came right on time to work on this project for this library that is focusing on the Act 1. So it's basically a slow build up until a drop about 45-ish seconds in, and then you would go into an Act 2 from there. So I'm going to only show what I have going on with the AVA Music Group. I do have some strings and pads underlaying the song overall, but we're going to start with this one sound here, and that's what this is doing. And so on. So basically just one note build. If you were paying attention to the mod wheel here, I have it set to blend, and it is just fading up throughout the track for the first 40, the first 40-ish seconds. So I just have that slowly building to add that tension there. We will minimize that. Next, we have the high pulse doing something similar. So yeah, it just keeps building there using the mod wheel. So I really like the mod wheel. In this case, I was using the low pass option there. I thought for the most part I would be using blend, but I did find myself using some of these other options in the plugin itself. So that is the high pulse. Next, we have the lead synth, the trailer synth lead. 10 that comes about, I would say, 20 seconds there. So I'm going to start that right about here. I like how all those elements are just coming in just to build that tension. So these sounds actually, like I said, came right on time for this project that I'm working on for this library. So next we have the low Atmos 3. Yeah, so similar to what the other tracks are doing, just fading that low energy in. That comes in a little bit, maybe let's say towards the back end of that intro part there. Then we have the regular effects. You have your riser and downer. So I have a riser going into a downer. I will play both of those. Basically, the riser leads into the downer at the end of the sort of this act here. And that is the gist of it. Let me play back I'll play back the whole thing using just the AVA Music Group sounds because it's a short cue. So we'll play everything back. As I have my screen riddled with different Unity Modern Trailer Synth plugins open, but it is a great plugin. As you can hear, you don't have to use it in the epic action cinematic trailer music. You can use it in that, but I use it here in this context for sort of the droney, patty, synth wavy, alien type sound, if you want to call it that, but really for like the act one of a trailer. But you could also use it, like I mentioned earlier, in other genres as well. So some great sounds in there. Are there anything that I would suggest? I would say on the plugin itself, I'm a huge fan, as you may know already by now, of what is called a random button. So if there were some type of dice or die or something here on the main menu, let's blow this up a little bit. If there was some type of dice or die here that I can click and it would just randomize a bunch of settings, parameters, if it could randomize some presets. And even if I click on the preset here, I would love to have some type of randomized option here, here, and here that would just randomize the settings, and I can do some sound design there. The other thing is, I think there is, I really like the plugin design. I would have liked to use more of the blank space up here in the plugin. So I think that the lights here, the lasers here could be actually wider. This graph here could be wider. I wouldn't mind having, like if I hit the attitude, I can go there and that can take over the big screen. I wouldn't mind having that, the same with shape, with the identity. If I could have the identity take over the big screen in the middle, maybe not necessarily the mod wheel because I was able to do some of that things there. But even so, if the mod wheel could be brought to the big, the main page here, the main front and center, and I can click there. Or if just things, the icons and things could be made a little bigger. There just seems to be a lot of space here that I think that can be utilized with what's currently there. I don't need anything else other than the random button. I think things can be blown up to a bigger proportion, so to speak, because there's a lot of space in the plugin that can be used for that purpose. So yeah, just using more of the blank space here. But as far as the plugin itself, as far as the sounds that you're getting, as far as what you can do with it, as you heard, you don't have to create the trailer stuff. There's a bunch of 808s in there. You have the Atmos, you have the basses, the Brahms, the clocks, the downers, the glitch, the hybrid pulses, the leads, the pings, the plucks, other pulses, risers, signatures, and synthetic brass. Of course, I'm going to be using this in my trailer stuff. I had to jump on the opportunity to create a demo and work with this plugin, and it's going to be added to my arsenal as well. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure again to like, comment, and subscribe to the Sampleist for more videos like this. And also thank you to the team over at AVA Music Group for providing the Unity Modern Trailer Synth for us to review for you. Be safe and be well, everyone. All right. Peace.